Griffin/Familiars. Episode 22 of Delicious in Dungeon begins with our heroes and Yod eating breakfast. Yod recalls moments when he ate breakfast with Lord Delgal, his grandfather, and his parents. Also, he reveals Thistle, the lunatic magician, would be with them during these times. Yod confirms Thistle and Delgal had a brotherly relationship and Delgal welcomed Thistle to the castle as a jester. Next, Yod says Delgal encouraged Thistle to study magic and stand by his side when Delgal became king. Yod says Thistle's thirst for magic consumed him and enticed him to cast an immortality spell over the kingdom. Laos asks Yod where he can find Thistle. Yod refuses to tell Laos because he argues Thistle is difficult to communicate with. However, Yod tells Laos that Thistle has beings that keep a watchful eye on the Golden Country. Therefore, it's likely he'll return to this kingdom soon. Yod recommends Laos seek the winged lion's power before meeting Thistle. He says the lion will subdue Thistle's magic. He says it is located in the dungeon's depths. Next, Yod leads Laos, Chilchik, and the others to a pathway that'll help them return to the dungeon. Before Laos's party departs, several Golden Country residents bestow them with goods. Then, Laos and his friends depart. Thistle arrives seconds later and confronts Yod about the adventurers he was chatting with. Meanwhile, Laos and his friends arrive at a dwarves' reservoir. Laos and Marcel explore the area, leaving Chilchik with Senshi and Izutsumi. Senshi asks Chilchik to draw symbols on the pillars surrounding them. He says it'll help them pinpoint their approximate location. Marcel and Laos return and inform their friends that they may have encountered Fallon. They argue Fallon fled from them out of fear. However, Laos argues it was likely a griffin and explains that beasts build to his friends. Marcel insists they look for the griffin because she thinks it's Fallon. Senshi tries backing out of this hunt because he's afraid of the griffin for some unknown reason. Suddenly, the griffin appears, snatches Senshi, and leaves with him. Laos wonders what they should do. Marcel says she plans to create a familiar that'll help them track the griffin creature and Senshi down. While Laos helps Marcel prepare a magic circle for the familiar creation process, Izutsumi questions him and the others about Senshi. Chilchik says he and the others never wanted to question Senshi about his past. However, Chilchik's curious about what Senshi's withholding from them. Chilchik also recalls Senshi's words he shared with them during their journey and knows some points don't add up. Laos suggests they focus on saving Senshi first. After that, Laos insists they reintroduce themselves to him. Marcel finishes crafting 3 bird familiars and Laos is disappointed. Nevertheless, Marcel sends a familiar into the air and starts getting dizzy. Laos puts a blindfold on Marcel and offers to carry her. Marcel plans to use the familiar's eyesight to scout the area for the griffin and Senshi. Marcel's familiar finds Senshi but the griffin exterminates it. Marcel gets off Laos's back and informs the others about what happened. Laos and the others return to the other 2 familiars Marcel created. He turns one of Marcel's familiars into a wyvern. Marcel attempts to save Senshi again, but the griffin defeats the second familiar. Before Laos turns Marcel's final familiar into an epic creature, Marcel intervenes and turns it into a skyfish. Marcel's skyfish weakens the griffin thanks to its insane speed. This allows Laos to slay the creature with Kinsuke and save Senshi. Our heroes regroup with Senshi and Marcel visits her perished familiar. Laos chops it in half seconds later, much to Marcel's shock. Nonetheless, Laos turns the familiar into a dish and they all eat it. While eating, Chilchik reintroduces himself to Senshi. Chichuk reveals he has kids and a wife, which also shocks Marcel. Senshi opens up to everyone. He reveals he's from Isganda and was once part of a mining crew who sought treasure. One day, Senshi says he and his crew found an ancient castle full of gold. The episode closes with Senshi confirming that the castle is the dungeon they're exploring now. The episode review. First off, this was another great episode of Delicious in Dungeon. It contains incredible world lore and minor depth for folks like Thistle and Chilchik. While we receive more intel about the former unlike the latter, it's interesting to know that Chilchik isn't a single fellow. However, we're certain this will upset folks who dabble in fanshipping discussions online. Chilchik and Thistle aside, the next chapter seems to be leaning toward a Senshi-focused affair, which is great. Much like Chilchik, fans might be curious to see what this cooking-loving dwarf's early outings were like. While this episode gives us a taste of what to expect, we're certain Senshi and his friends' affairs after their Golden Castle discovery will lead to something disturbing. We predict this will be the case considering the story's drastic tonal shift as of late. Senshi aside, the episode had breathtaking visuals, and the lore concerning the griffin monster and the familiars Marcel crafted were equally fascinating. Unlike Kaiju number 8, this anime gives fans neat intel about the monsters our heroes encountered during their ventures. Overall, I'm excited to learn about Senshi and his former crew's past next week.